whether Nadhim Zahawi lied to the Prime Minister before he was appointed to be chairman of the Conservative Party, is there anything I should know? And Nadhim said no. Nadhim didn't mention the fact that he had actually had to settle with the HMRC and had to pay a penalty as well. Or he did tell the Prime Minister he'd had this issue. And so if he didn't tell him, he should be sacked for being a liar. And if he did tell him, then Rishi Sunak is in this up to his neck, appointing somebody with an actual problem, because it doesn't simply stink because it's coming to the public. It stinks because it is a terrible thing to have happened. To have the Chancellor of the Exchequer having to settle his own tax bill with his own staff, and having come to the situation where he hadn't paid a bill of over apparently 3.7 million pounds. So I don't think the PM needs any more information. He's just trying to kick the can down the road a bit. He should be able to work out whether it's him who has been betrayed by this minister, and that's for him to judge. He needs no extra information.
All right, so Jonathan Haslam, John Major's former head of comms at Number 10, what do you say to that?
Well, I think I'm a bit more understanding of the difficulties that Rishi Sunak has. And John actually has just invented a conversation that we don't know between Rishi Sunak and Nadhim Zahawi when he was appointed then Conservative Party chairman.
Yeah.
And from the point of view of Rishi Sunak, he is taking on an individual who has been appointed by another Prime Minister as a Chancellor of the Exchequer. He has no particular reason to make any suggestions about are there skeletons in the cupboard. And he has acted quite properly. Now, he's got every right to be rather aggrieved from what we've heard about whether or not he was told everything. And you would ask questions about the judgment from Nadhim Zahawi about saying, actually, you need to know this before you appoint me. But where he is at the moment is following a process that's fair and reasonable. And bear in mind as well, there's a bit of precedence here because he has allowed Dominic Raab to stay in office while there's an investigation going on into his behaviour, both of which impinge upon the ministerial code of conduct. So at the moment, yes, it gets Nadhim Zahawi off the front pages. If Laurie Magnus finds that Nadhim Zahawi has got a big case to answer, then Sunak has a very strong case to say somebody else said, and you can go. And that gives him quite a good position to be in.
Right. Now, so John McTernan, we don't know how this is going to play out. And there was, Jonathan Haslam's right. Rishi Sunak was getting a certain amount of grief for his delay in appointing an ethics advisor. Having done so, well, why not just let him do his job?
Because this goes to the heart of who Rishi Sunak is. He got a bit of the benefit of the doubt from voters in focus groups. I think I've heard some of them on Times Radio. Essentially, voters look at him and they go, he inherited a mess. It's not all of this stuff is his fault. He had Liz Truss before and Boris Johnson before that. But this is a mess entirely of Rishi Sunak's making. That, I think, is a big problem for the Prime Minister. Secondly, it shows him to be weak and inexperienced. And those are both very bad things. Lacking experience, being indecisive, being weak on this. And the thing is, I still don't understand what additional information the Prime Minister needs to know. This big tax bill, this big penalty, and this image for the next 10 days, and we've had 8 days already, of the Conservative Party having people who are in the cabinet who don't pay taxes like it's for little people in the middle of a cost of living crisis, which exacerbates it all. So it feels to me this is it's almost deliberately creating a mess where there doesn't need to be one, which is why I think a lot of this goes to the inexperience. But I do think Jonathan's absolutely right. Somewhere in the back of his mind is the Deputy Prime Minister, because Dominic Raab is still the Deputy Prime Minister, which is another sign of the weakness. This cabinet is made up by the Prime Minister coming in, Rishi Sunak coming in, not believing he should say to his party, it's me or nobody. You've got to take me. I don't need to do any deals.
Okay.
Done lots of deals.
All right, last word from you then, Jonathan. What about that? Nadhim Zahawi, it's argued by really rather a lot of people, can't go on as chairman of the party, the front man of party campaigning with this over him.
Yeah, it's clearly going to be very difficult. But from Sunak's point of view, he can't win. Say he takes the politically expedient point of view and says, OK, Zahawi, I read the press, you're out. then everything he's done to try to build after the disaster of Johnson and Truss about pulling a party together, and heaven knows, John, you know as well as I do, that's a very, very difficult bar to rise to, then it all gets thrown away. So he can play macho man. This way is uncomfortable for him, but it allows him to say, we followed a decent process and we did not convict somebody without the evidence being checked by someone else. So that is full and proper process. And that, yeah, that's uncomfortable, but it's not weak. And actually, I thought the exchanges at parliamentary Prime Minister's questions were rather good on both sides. I thought that actually there was a very good riposte to a very good stinging attack from Keir Starmer. So the party should take a little bit of heart from that. So he can't win, whichever way he's there. But when we know the facts, then he can act very decisively. And I suspect that will happen rather quickly. I suspect that Magnus has been told, get on with it. I want something in 10 days.